Good evening, everybody. Now, I'm just Simple Man, and my name is Noah Foster. And welcome once again to this week's episode of 205 Live Matters. Tonight we'll be discussing the championship match from the Elimination Chamber kickoff show, this week's episode of 205 Live, and an interesting tweet sent out by Tony Nese in perspective to the kickoff show and how a fan views it versus the business. But before that, allow me to introduce y'all to my guest tonight. You might know him from his long-running series, The Wrestling Rundown, on his YouTube channel. He is known as the Berman of Boston, the current No DQ NXT Team Champion, Mr. Owen Finch. Owen, how are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to be on here. Even though I've been on NoDQ.com before, if you've watched, NXT Party, but I'm very excited. Very excited to talk about 205 Live. I'm glad this series exists on NoDQ.com because I've been wanting it for a while. So let's just get talking about the show.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much. With that, let's get started. So why don't we first talk about the incredible championship match from this past Sunday on the Elimination Chamber kickoff show. Folks, I will rant, but in respect to my family sleeping, don't expect me to be super loud tonight. Anyway, so this match was really good, I thought. It was a great back and forth bout. We basically got all the best hits. There was a test of strength between the two. Buddy Murphy showing how he's the unstoppable force 205 Live, just eating chops from Akira Tozawa, having no effect on him, to the point that frustrated him so much they went up to the outside of the ring, and he ends up whacking his hand on the post. That was dumb. I don't know why people always fall for that, it seems. But following that, Murphy, he shows off his power. It comes into play. He plants Tozawa. There's a snap rana and a basement drop kick, and then Buddy catches the first highlight of the match, in my opinion. Buddy catches Akira Tozawa out of his suicide headbutt attempt. Feet not even touching the floor, just catches him in midair and just lifts him up vertically and plants him with a German suplex. That looked nasty. And then here's my biggest gripe with this match, besides the fact it's on kickoff. Why the fuck did you have to cut away to an interview segment with the New Day talking about Kobe getting a massage for the finest service of Mr. Booty's work? Why the fuck could not this been before the damn kickoff match? Are you kidding me? You had 45 minutes to talk about the rest of the card, including this main event. Not to mention the time you had afterwards when this match was fucking over and you cut away. And I might add, there was no rest spot. It wasn't like a crappy rest spot where you get Chrisley Knows Best or Temptation on there. Fuck those shows too during SmackDown and Raw. Absolute stupid nonsense, in my opinion. But I digress. Before I go any further in this match, Owen, what are your thoughts on this whole cutaway segments?
Um, I hate the cutaway segments because I think what makes the commercials unique, just on live television, and is the fans get to see some of the match that you don't get to see, so they can miss like a highlight or something like that. Um, but I hate that they did it for this match with the New Day interview because, like you said, they easily could have done this any other time on the show because I believe they just showed another Mustafa Ali promo on the show that they had already shown on SmackDown, so why couldn't they show it there? Um, I just thought it was very disrespectful because it's already bad enough on the kickoff. So it shows that they don't care because we know they don't care about the kickoff. Survivor Series from last year is the biggest example of that. And the fact that you just took away their shine, if you just what don't even put the match on the kickoff if you're just gonna do that type of crap. I think it's very stupid. So
I completely agree. Anyway, let's get back to the match because it did continue during this, where Buddy was maintaining control with a couple of submission holds. We get a couple more chops, and then there's a forearm to Buddy Murphy, a vicious forearm, by the way, to Buddy Murphy. And then as Tozawa goes for his top rolled senton bomb for the first time in this match, Buddy pulls him off, and eventually we get an Iron Octopus attempt, which Buddy breaks up immediately, once again showcasing his strength into a vicious looking backbreaker into a cover. Not near fall, but a cover. And then he drives the knee into Tozawa's back, and again, we get some submission holds, abdominal stretch. Your body is not supposed to bend like that. And then both men basically try to play off each other's strength, both attempting for a hip toss. Eventually, Buddy gets sent over the top rope by Akira Tozawa, and he comes back into the ring, furious, runs straight into a kick. Akira then basically goes straight into the lower back, favoring it from all those submission holds. But following that, Akira, being the top rope antics he does, he goes for missile drop kick, hits him, and then we get a pump kick into the corner. There's a suplex counter into a backdrop driver, one of Akira Tozawa's face, where he slides underneath the opponents and goes for that vicious German suplex attempt. Following that, he capitalizes with a Shining Wizard to a cover. Still not enough. So once again, he goes for his top rope senton, his coup de grace, I guess you could say. And once again, he runs into a kick. And Akira, he follows up with his own kick. We get a little bit of exchange. Akira catches him with a roundhouse kick. Then Buddy attempts to plant Akira again. And from the top rope, he gets, I think, a Frankenstein, basically. That led into a nice near fall, which got our first real pop in the eyes with This Is Awesome chance. And I will say this. Big Joe's extremely generic with how many times he says takedowns to the point I'm like, shut up. But I did say one thing that was credible to me during this segment. He said, this is what 205 Live is all about. And this is why I keep stressing. You get incredible back and forth action worthy beyond the kickoff show. And I'll talk about that stance in a moment. But anyway, following this, we get a crossbody roll through by Murphy. And we basically get two Murphy's Law attempts, which is Buddy Murphy's finisher. He couldn't hit it, though. We get a drop knee and a knee strike into a suplex into a cover. Very nice exchange, by the way. Buddy Murphy still basically maintaining control of the match. He's basically talking trash, teasing Tozawa. We get an exchange of punches. There's a back and forth, but Akira, he's just eating it up. It's mostly like it's firing him up. That prosciutto, his fighting spirit, and basically he goes for his fake-out jab. It gets countered once. And then we get a combination kick and a stomp. Then a missed knee strike by Buddy Murphy, which then leads to the fake-out jab by Akira Tozawa. Following this, we get a nice clothesline into another beautiful, and I believe Marinello is on record for saying this, from the Cruiserweight Classic, one of the most beautiful German suplexes you will see into a bridge cover. Still not enough. And then the crowd gets behind Akira. Now they're saying, oh, he's credible. He might be able to do it. Get a lot of hot chance. But anyway, moving on, we get Buddy stopping once again the senton attempt, but this time it nearly costs him as Akira capitalizes by basically hanging Murphy between the middle rope. And he does plant his top rope senton to the lower back of Buddy Murphy into a cover. So you're thinking that would be it, but no. The commentators brought up that they think the second rope has more give versus the mat, which may have been the reason why Buddy Murphy was able to kick out of that, because under normal circumstances, that probably would have been it.
Yeah.
But following that, we get a beautiful cheeky Nando's kick almost from Buddy Murphy as Akira Tozawa once again tries to go for the top rope senton bomb. But Akira, he counters the attempted super kick from Buddy with his own super kick, very unique, by the way, from his position, into an insane inverted Hurricane Rana, which then he just keeps capitalizing on this, staying on Buddy with two suicide headbutt dives, both successful. And then we get another senton, and then Murphy, he goes in for the attack, and he gets, like I said, he gets hanged between the ropes. But anyway, following this, though, we get Akira Tozawa with all the momentum in the world. He goes ha. We get, though, that jumping knee strike from Buddy Murphy, one of his trademarks, which eventually leads to Murphy's Law, and literally after that, 1, 2, 3. So Buddy Murphy once again retains in a very high-class bout where both men showcase their strengths. Akira Tozawa show off his greatest hits, including the Iron Octopus. I think he has yet to actually beat somebody with that submission. It still looks nice, though. But the ironic thing, I think, really about this overall to me is that the fact is it started at the clock having 25 minutes left, and at the end of this match, the clock was down to 8 minutes. This bout went for over 10 minutes, practically 12 minutes when you think about it. And yet they still interrupted it with a freaking interview segment, and yet somehow this still wasn't placed in the main card. Owen, what are your thoughts overall about this match?
I thought this match was really good. The Cruiserweight match is always like one of the highlights of the pay-per-views now. Ever since it's rebranded, last year actually around this time pretty much. And I just thought it was really good back and forth match. I think it's Akira Tozawa's best match that he's had since he's come to WWE. I'm actually legitimately mean that, because I know a lot of people just say that and then obviously they'll find like another match. I mean that. I think this is his best match since he's joined WWE. And Buddy Murphy continues to build his brand as Cruiserweight champion. I really like that. I think I missed like about 5 minutes or so because I was getting food at this time and stuff.
Mm.
But so that's why like I don't think I gave it as a star rating 3.5 stars. But also it got knocked down to star rating because of that New Day thing too. So but it was a really good cruiserweight match, really good back and forth match. Just everything that cruiserweight wrestling should be. And I liked Buddy Murphy. I liked the Murphy's Law, and I liked the counters. I liked everything about this match. And there was even points I thought Tozawa actually was going to win the match, so I thought that did its job. But this match should have been on the kickoff. This match actually should have taken Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin's place on the show.
Thank you.
Considering the fact that I say that now too because they just did that match the next night anyway. So why not have that take that place? So.
Well, in my opinion, Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman, no disrespect to Braun, but it's just the horrible booking and this pointless feud. It should have been on the kickoff, especially when you saw how it's played out. The funny thing is, Baron Corbin, he's used to kickoff shows. He was on the freaking kickoff with Dean Ambrose back at WrestleMania 33, and that was for the freaking Intercontinental Championship. But you're telling me that this Braun Strowman feud is more worthy of being on the main card versus this Cruiserweight title match? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, before we get into the main show, Caitlin, go follow her, folks. Great person. NoDQ.com/Caitlin. She shared this tweet with me that Tony Nese shared in response to a fan that shares kind of a similar stance to what I did. So according to this, sent out by at rnews0683, he basically says, and I quote, if WWE Triple H Vince McMahon truly cared, they should be in the main portion of the show, not the kickoff. If you want more people invested in 205 Live, put them as part of the show. But Tony Nese, here's his rebuttal, and I quote, or it could be a part of anything, but that's not the case. People without the network can view the kickoff, and the company puts trust in us to help sell the full show. Not sure they would put something they could care less about in that spot. How about a positive outlook? Now, before I get your stance on this, let me just say this, because me and Cindy both had our rebuttals to this. Cindy basically said this, and I agree with her on most of these points. She basically says that, in a way, this is what WWE really has to say, but it is his opinion. It's really, for business sake, yes, it's a good thing, because it's the most exposure you get to people aware of the network and of the product. But from that standpoint, it doesn't feel right from a fan standpoint, unless you put someone that people are not familiar with on the Cruiserweight title picture, like Humberto Carrillo. How many people really know him? How many people know the Gaza family? But again, it's the opinion of whatever Tony says. But Cindy says that the Cruiserweights, they deserve better. Majority of people may not see eye to eye, but in her opinion, they deserve better. The Cruiserweights deserve better in WWE. And yes, there's a ton of content in WWE already, in wrestling in general. I mean, WWE itself has 4 other brands: Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK. But still, based on especially that Baron Corbin Braun Strowman match, this should be showcased in a better light. And I basically followed up with her on that by treating this as, you almost can call 205 Live the redheaded stepchild with the way it's treated. The fact that it's been on kickoff show now for TLC, for the Royal Rumble, and for the Elimination Chamber. But yet, somehow, ironically, it was not on kickoff during Survivor Series. They gave that to the freaking 10-on-10 Survivor Series elimination match between the tag teams, which also felt pointless since most of those tag teams were jobbers or not even on TV. But I understand also how, from a business standpoint, this is your largest viewing audience versus their time in the indies. This is the most exposure. This is the most money they're making, etc., etc. But, like I said, I feel like on the network, you do get more viewership and exposure because it's the main show, it's the main product, it's the main thing they're pushing towards. And the fact that they're putting these on the kickoff and interrupting them with these pointless interview segments that could happen so much beforehand, it just seems ridiculous to me. Owen, what is your stance on Tony Nese's stance on the placements and use of the Cruiserweights?
Well, first I'll say I think Tony Nese is just trying to, kind of support WWE because he doesn't want to like lose his job and things like that. So he's trying to kind of, support them. And when it comes down to this, I completely disagree with his comments. Just because, like we talked about, the kickoff doesn't matter. They'll put they won't even announce the kickoff match sometimes until like 3 days before the pay-per-view. Literally, I think every no DQ predictions that goes on this channel, the kickoff's like never announced ahead of time, pretty much. It's not announced until after literally it goes up. And so if they really cared that much about the kickoff, why is that match always put out there the last minute? Also, to you know, like I said, Survivor Series, when Raw clean sweep SmackDown, they
Don't get me
completely
started on that, but continue.
yeah. Um, and obviously, too, the commentators that night at Survivor Series kept saying, no, SmackDown did win one, but Michael Cole would say, it's the kickoff. It doesn't matter. They themselves literally said the kickoff doesn't matter. Um, I personally think you give the cruiserweights the main card. Because at Survivor Series, people were into the cruiserweight match. People were chanting 205 Live. People loved the cruiserweight match. And I don't know what the hell happened. How can they make the main card at Survivor Series, but they can't make the main card, like you said, at, TLC, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. I can understand the Royal Rumble because I think actually the Royal Rumble, they should have been on the main card because they could have followed the Royal Rumble match with the woman because what happened where Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles went wrong was because it had to go follow the women's match and it had to be like a slow plotted match. If the cruiserweights had been able to go out there and do their thing, it would have broken the crowd up. So
I completely agree because both Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, they're very technical based wrestlers. You don't get a lot of high, hot, fast hot spots with them. The closest thing you get out of those two is a phenomenal form. No disrespect to them, but that crowd was just burnt out. They didn't want a slow-paced style or a technical bout. They wanted something to either wake them up, otherwise they just went to go get a shirt or grab a hot dog or take a break. So that was just bad booking, I think, on WWE's part. In my opinion, yes, I believe the Fatal 4-Way should have been put there. But again, it's WWE booking. Who's going to argue with Vince McMahon? The bottom line is I feel like Tony Nese is speaking from a business standpoint because everyone fears freedom of speech under the reign of Vince McMahon. And also another thing, when was the last time Tony Nese was involved in even a kickoff match for that animal? I think it's really easy for him to say with the fact he hasn't even been involved on the freaking matches on these shows.
Yeah. I mean, remember, two Austin Aries and Neville's match was left off the WrestleMania DVD, and they didn't get like a big payday or anything from that match.
Correct. They didn't get royalties, and that eventually led to both men's departures, and I honestly don't blame them. That was very disrespectful, and one of the better matches on that card, too. What's the most memorable thing about WrestleMania 33? The Undertaker retiring and friggin' John Cena proposing to Nikki Bella. Whoop-de-doo. I guess the Hardys was a nice thing, too, but one off topic. That's another story. But yeah, business versus fan, bottom line, guys, they belong on the main card, in my opinion, because 205 Live matters. Simple as that.
Exactly.
All right. So with that, let's get into this week's show. So I kind of called this week's show to an extent. I called a squash match. I called the involvement of Alberto Carrillo. And I kind of called Mike Kanellis further dissension into his downward spiral. But let's get into the show first. So we first start off with this time Drake Maverick giving us a recap of the championship match from this past Sunday and the direction of the 205 Live division up towards WrestleMania. I find it interesting they're using the same approach that they did last year, except they're only using half the men, probably because we got like half the time. So keep close that we are going to figure out the next contender for Buddy Murphy's Cruiserweight title with an 8-man single elimination tournament. And we don't know none of the participants at this point. But he said he's going to announce some later tonight. And both matches tonight are crucial towards those participant choices. He announces both matches tonight, being Alberto Carrillo versus TJP, who has not been on for a while. And he expresses the point that Alberto Carrillo has really taken the brand by storm, but TJP, he's experienced, dangerous, submissions game. And then we talk about the next match he says on tonight, the main event, Mike Kanellis versus Cedric Alexander. Mike Kanellis impressing in his previous performances against D. Brian Kendrick and I forget
Kalisto.
Thank you, Kalisto. They're all the same almost to me. Jeez. But basically, he's impressed in his performance, and he's facing Cedric Alexander, who's basically like one of the best all-around people on the 205 Live roster. And yet here comes Mike again during that spot where he brings up the match saying that every loss is a step closer to success because no matter where they've been successful. Maria Kanellis' words herself. So going straight from there, we get the theme, we go straight into the show. Basically, we get Aiden saying that, Humberto, he's young, he's hot. Like, Okay, this was weird.
That was very weird. Drake Maverick too also in that intro talked about how Cedric winning this match can put him back on the rise from his last year run in 2018 too.
Correct, because before Buddy Murphy became champ, he was the undefeated top of the line guy in 205 Live. Ever since then, it's been kind of a downward spiral for him too. So both
Yeah.
Mike and Cedric had suffered improvement tonight's main event. But before we got there, we had the opening bout between Alberto Carrillo and TJP. And I thought this was a really nice back and forth bout. We had, the famous spots of Alberto Carrillo. He loves doing roll through kicks and springboards. There was a bit of a filling out process at first with some deep arm drags. There was a monkey flip counter denied. We had a twisting scissors headlock attempt for a while, and then Roberto found a way out of it. But another story came into play in this match, not only for proving if you belong in this tournament, but also the whole point of Drew Gulak for a better duel, trying to bring Roberto Carrillo into the fold. Drew Gulak and Jack Gallagher, they come out to ringside to watch his match, which I was like, oh, okay. And I hear Drew Gulak talking about, we talked about this, and you could tell he was coaching him throughout the match, egging him on, telling him, go for this or don't go for this, because, Drew Gulak believes in a no-fly zone. Although he did support Roberto Carrillo when he did that top rope maneuver later on in the match. I also feel like he helped Roberto Carrillo get out of that vicious submissions hold. But anyway.
Yeah, like the inverted STF where he did the Gano escape with the leg crossed.
Yeah, it's very impressive, by the way. But anyway, talking about a few more spots in this match, we get really the first spot where TJP regained control is when Roberto Carrillo went shoulder first to the post, and TJP, he's working on the arm, he wrenches the arm back, he constantly kicks the arm, he tosses the arm. I will say it's this, for TJP, very calculated. He had a very different look though tonight in this match too. I feel like his gear almost reminded me a bit of a Dolph Ziggler. I do hope he's not becoming the Dolph Ziggler of 205 Live. But
No.
It certainly seems that way. All he's missing is a record scratch at this point. Just go. But
he also has
some
new tattoos and stuff too.
A very carefree bad boy type look. I don't know where the hell this came from, including his guitar theme with the Mega Man music. But anyway, yeah. So we get multiple times. There's a body manipulation, but Carrillo, he gets some good spots in here. There's the roll through kick, kip up kick. Caught him on the second one after TJP counted the first one. We get some nice top rope maneuvers. There's a Hurricane Rana. Casadora Special, I believe, is where TJP rolled through into the modified STF, as you called it. But Drew yells for reach, reach, and he gets to the rope for the rope break. After that, for a while, they have a nice exchange on the apron, and Roberto Carrillo capitalizes with a missile drop kick to the back of the neck. And then I guess they call it a head stomp now, but basically he goes for his signature where he stands head stomp, top rope, and just springboards off the side rope into the cover. 1, 2, 3. Roberto Carrillo with a huge win, beating the first ever in this reincarnation of the Cruiserweight division, Cruiserweight champion. And of course, Drew Gulak, he's ecstatic. He says, "You have so much potential. Young Lion, Roberto Carrillo, everybody. Cruiserweight." And they raise him on his shoulders. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week, and we'll get to that in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. But I thought this was a very nice back-and-forth bout, but as far as what happens to TJP, who knows at this point? What are your overall thoughts and takeaway from this match and Drew Gulak's supports?
I thought this match was very good. I really like Humberto Carrillo. He's really been impressing me, since his NXT days when he was tag teaming with Wall Mendoza.
Right.
But I really liked this match a lot. I thought TJP looked really good. I especially liked when he did Pentagon Jr.'s old arm breaker submission when he would break people's arms for Lucha Underground Season 1.
Yes.
I really liked that. He's been doing that. He did that to Dominic Dijakovic too in the Worlds Collide tournament as well.
One of my favorite matches from that tournament.
Yeah. And this match was just real good. The way that Humberto Carrillo too hits that drop kick, he hits it from an angle and stuff. The way he twists his body, no one's body should twist that way. And obviously
he always seems to do springboard arm drag instead of just a normal deep arm drag. It's very impressive. It's almost like an unaware assistance from his opponent that allows him to do that. Roberto Carrillo's got a very impressive arsenal of moves. I'll be interested to see how much Drew Gulak plays into changing that.
And then him winning makes sense because he's still like new to the brand, so you want to keep establishing his name. Um, and I did like afterwards, like where they celebrated with him and like put Humberto Carrillo on their shoulders and stuff. And I don't think he officially joined the group. I just think he's kind of going along with the flow. It would be kind of interesting, like direction, if he actually did turn heel and join up with Gulak and Gallagher. I think that'd be pretty interesting. It'd be a nice swerve. I don't think they will do that swerve because his moves, he would have to completely change his moveset around and stuff.
Correct.
But something interesting is maybe I was thinking about this during this match. TJP would be a nice fit for him because he mainly does ground-based maneuvers and stuff like that. So I think he'd be an interesting fit for this group. And obviously, I know he does some high-flying stuff, but he can obviously, cut that back. And obviously, because he's a heel, Drew Gulak could say, sometimes you have to take high risk because sometimes when Gulak does go high, he will go high risk if he feels like he absolutely has to. So
as an absolute last resort, as previous title potential matches have proven. You're absolutely right. He has break his moral, but only when he feels it absolutely needs to. And I mean, hey, he's not even saying no fly zone anymore, so maybe he's actually flexing to this because again, Humberto Carrillo, he's a bit of a high flyer.
Yeah, but also to anytime he goes to the top rope or something, tries to do a high flying move, it always costs him. So
True. It's amusing when it happens. I really will be impressed the day he actually does go for a top maneuver and it works. But anyway, yeah, good opening bout. I'm interested to see where the story goes from here. Moving on. So we start getting, of course, because 205 Live always gives you at least one promo or interview or just build segment. We first get basically, I guess you could say, a self-imposed interview from Tony Nese, hyping himself up. He basically talks about how after last week's incredible no DQ, this match that I saw live, absolutely loved it. He said that how he proved against Noam Dar he is the better man. And now, 205 Live, this brand is just his for the taking. It's just a matter of believing in himself. And now that he got through that mental block and basically ran through like he ran his knee through the freaking barricade for the timekeeper area against Noam Dar, he promises to win and become the champ at Mania. So Tony Nese, he's really hyping himself up. Now, could this lead to potential face turn? Could this lead to him facing Buddy Murphy at Mania? Because me and Cindy were talking about this last week, I'm sure you know. We were talking about the next potential candidates for Buddy Murphy's Cruiserweight title and when that would happen. We were not thinking it was going to wait until all the way to WrestleMania. We thought they were doing our filler match in between a fast lane. Guess we were wrong. One of the candidates we were talking about was Tony Nese. Is this going to lead to a face turn? Is he going to win the tournament? Who knows at this point? What were your thoughts on this promo?
I thought it was really good. Everything he said makes sense. And I really don't know because he obviously they would have to kind of rush his face turn in a way too because he really isn't a face yet. And I guess like they could do an angle where like Tony Nese starts winning the tournament and stuff and starts advancing and Buddy Murphy is like starting to get worried and Tony Nese says he wants to win the title or something. And then it leads to Tony Nese winning the tournament and turning face. Because originally he did turn face when last year during the tournament, the first one. And then they just kind of randomly dropped it, I think. I don't know why they did, but they just did. And then he became the tag team with Buddy Murphy. So I don't really, I really don't know. It also depends to who's in the tournament. Because we still don't know like all the competitors and stuff. It's really
at this point we don't know anybody.
Yeah. It's a really tough question to answer. It would be very unique. I would love to see Tony Nese win the Cruiserweight title just because he's been in 205 Live since the beginning. I think it would be a nice run for him, but it's really he would have to completely change his gimmick too because the whole abs thing's more of a heel gimmick too. So it would be tough. So I just don't have an answer for you if he should win or not because, like I said, I got to wait a few more weeks to see who's in the tournament and stuff too. So
right, and again, they did say later tonight we would learn about some of the participants in this tournament, which we'll get to, ladies and gentlemen. So moving on, we get Mike Maria backstage. Mike prepping up for his match, but Kayla Braxton, she comes into play in the interview and poses the question: is it wise for Mike Kanellis, based on his recent outcomes, to challenge one of the most experienced competitors in 205 Live instead of Alexander? Maria, she takes over the interview with a rebuttal question talking about, do you think Mike Kanellis, my husband, who has been in the business for 16 years, do you think he's been successful by taking the easy way out and not taking on the toughest competitors? Of course, Kayla, she first thinks this is like a rhetorical question, so of course Maria, she reiterates herself and says, that's a real question, Kayla. And of course, Kayla says no, and I agree. I mean, if you're going to prove you're the best, why not go after the toughest? Maybe, the definition of doing the same over and over again is insanity type thing. Philosophy applies here, but I guess it really depends who you're asking. But basically, he says that tonight, Maria says that Mike is going to take out the pride of 205 Live and prove why he is the most dangerous man here. She did not refer at all to this being the match, as she said over the last few weeks, which I thought was very interesting. But, again, she is the hype person, calculated hype person, I guess you could say, for her husband, Mike Nuss, who needs this win more than anything, in my opinion. So, what were your overall thoughts on this interview and Maria's take on tonight's match that Mike, I guess, really chose to be in?
I like the interview a lot. I think Maria Kanellis is very underrated on the mic. I feel like not a lot of people talk about that because she hasn't been known to be one of the best wrestlers and stuff. But I feel like she's very good on the mic, a very good manager. I do kind of like that the 205 Live has done this a couple of times now, where if her and her husband are being interviewed, she'll do the interview because it's a callback to when she first came to the WWE, she was an interviewer. And not good at it, but.
Well, who was truly a good interviewer back then and wasn't eye candy? I mean, Terry Reynolds, during one interview segment, she became hardcore champion and then immediately lost it.
Yeah. I think I thought it was great. It really establishes Mike Kanellis and makes you believe that he could win this match, and it gives you purpose about why the match is happening in a way. So I thought this interview did what it was supposed to do. So.
Yeah. So moving on from there, we get, of course, first off, DX going into the Hall of Fame. Congrats to them. Some of my favorite moments. I'm going to include the limo and the mic thing, but moving on. Yeah. Get a squash match. Called it. Ari Daivari faces a jobber named Johnny Lyons. And, I mean, there wasn't much really shown here besides Ari Daivari just proving how much he's trying to put himself over and says he can do this on his own and prove it. He basically comes out and says, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the beginning of the Daivari Dinero Destruction. The Triple D, I guess you can call it, of 205 Live for the Cruiserweight division, where nobody can sue the ref for the wrong call. And then, of course, we get cheap heat from a heel where he talks about, hey, I'm going to my company Super Bowl like your New Orleans Saints. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm non-sports. I'm sorry. The only sport I follow, yes, I call it a sport, sue me. The only sport I follow is wrestling. Amateur, professional, big, small, etc. Indie, supporting wrestling, folks. So I have no idea whether the New Orleans Saints ever been to the Super Bowl. Y'all want to discuss that? Feel free to. I don't watch football. Sorry. Anyway, but basically this match was literally squash. There was a fury of exchange into the corner. Johnny had one spot in here with a drop kick, and then he gets dropped with another step-up kick, almost an insecurity by Ari Daivari in the corner. Yet somehow he did get Let's Go Johnny chance, so hey, good on him. I guess he must be popular with the local crowd. Or maybe the heel just put him over with that cheap heat call against their football team. I don't know. Are they a football team? Oh, God, I'm proving how naive I am.
Well, yeah, because he said Super Bowl, so I think so.
Okay, yeah. I know the Super Bowl is football. That much I do know, okay? Anyway.
I'm not sports either, so.
Okay, good. So it's not just me. Ladies and gentlemen, not everybody in America watch or does sports. Simple as that. It's not weird. It is a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway. Following this, pretty much sum it up. That hammerlock lariat, and then Cobra Clutch, a variation of the $1 Million Dream. Instant tap out. That's it. So, yeah, pretty short match. Basically reinserting himself into the 205 Live picture, and whether or not he could be a viable contender towards the title. Whether or not he will be in the tournament, who knows at this point? Only Drake Maverick will decide that, and we'll get into that later, ladies and gentlemen. But, Owen, what were your thoughts on basically Daivari's return to in-ring?
I thought he looked pretty good, and obviously this is a way to build somebody up by just having him have squash matches. I wish Raw and SmackDown would do this a lot more, because obviously, it makes people a big threat and stuff. Only little complaints is I hate when wrestlers use the, sports, putting down the city sports to get cheap heat. I just think it's cheap heat, and if you have to do that, it's just lazy. Um, to get somebody as a heel. The only time it worked was when Elias and Kevin Owens did it. That's how you do it right.
That was uber heat. Man, that booing went on for 10 minutes. That was insanity. I completely agree. Beyond that, I mean, it's like Control-C, Control-V. Aha! Because that's a typical thing a heel will do. They will say your town sucks, or they will belittle some form of your sports team, because sometimes I have multiple sports teams. I mean, when the new Day O'Brien was in town last week for SmackDown Live, he didn't belittle the Mud Hands, he just belittled the city.
Yeah.
Fickle! Anyway. Yeah, but so following that, we get a promo from the champ. He basically literally puts over Drake Maverick's decision, and basically, I guess, how he and him both talked about this tournament coming together, and he gave props to the manager for doing this. Because, again, the general manager, Drake Maverick, the former rockstar spud of TNA, Force Wrestling Impact Wrestling, he basically is trying to give him the best possible challenge possible. And then basically, Buddy Murphy, he runs down literally his cruiserweight title history, starting with his bout with Mustafa Ali, where he left Ali heartbroken. Then he talked about Alexander, where the Edge of Alexander came crashing down. Then he talked about the Royal Rumble, where how he went up against the leader of the Luchadors, a striker, and he actually acknowledged Akira Tozawa a little better this time. But, cheap callback, I like it. He said, and also the guy that dethroned the king of the cruiserweight. I really wonder what Pac thinks of all this, but I don't follow his social media that much, so I have no idea. And then he talked about, of course, his recent bout at Elimination Chamber, where he basically, Akira had another shot, failed, and he had his hand held high. So now he spoke to Drake, and Drake came up with this 8-person tournament, where they're trying to find the next great cruiserweight to face him as he once again continues to prove why he is the greatest cruiser of all time. So who's it going to be to face him on the grandest stage of them all? And a damn sure better not be on Kickoff, because 205 Live deserves better. It deserves not to be on the Kickoff show, but the main card. But I digress. What were your thoughts on this Buddy Murphy promo?
Very good. It made him, I liked how he broke down his title reign. I even liked how he discussed, how he feels for Drake Maverick because he's trying to do the best he can to win a show. But if he has a champion that's unstoppable on the show, because he pretty much is unstoppable. Buddy Murphy, I don't even think has lost a match since he's been the champion. So it's just awesome. And it just shows what everybody's fighting for, and it really makes me want to see this tournament. Obviously, when we finish reviewing this show, I think we should talk about some names that also could be in the tournament.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing who he faces, and I think this is going to be the last we see of him. Up until the tournament's over, I think we'll see him here and there, but he won't have a match on the shows or anything like that. But it was just an awesome backstage segment.
I agree. I could see him maybe doing a filler match because, he's got this overwhelming confidence about him, and he might feel stale and maybe just want to prove and remind people how great he is on the road to up to the road to WrestleMania. I could see him doing a filler match, maybe not necessarily at Fastlane, maybe not even for the title, but somewhere in between. Now, whether or not that happens and who it could be against, that's way up in the air. But yeah, that's just a thought I'm thinking about. Because I feel like we're going to see at least one more match from Buddy Murphy before WrestleMania, but I don't think it's going to be a title bout at this point. Especially with Fastlane being so dang close.
Yeah, it's March 10th.
Yes, now we'll be going there live too, representing No DQ. I cannot wait. But anyway, so now we go into our main event, where the opportunist, as he calls himself, Mike Kanellis, takes on the soul of 205 Live, Cedric Alexander. Where, in my opinion, and the commentators even put this over, Mike ultimately, he needs to win. But in a way, Cedric Alexander, he needs to win too, because 2 weeks ago, he failed to win the Fatal 4-Way, kind of been on a flop since. So, but they also brought up the point he did win the last tournament, apparently across the street, that culminated at that WrestleMania match. One of my favorite matches from that WrestleMania. He and Mustafa Ali tore the house down. Yeah. Did not deserve to be on Kickoff. But
and they even showed the footage of that too.
Yes, which I truly respect. So, we get a heck of a barn burner match here. Let me see what I can do here. Oh, jeez. So, basically, we start out with a little bit of a feeling out process. There's some side headlocks. Cedric Alexander. By the way, crowd was hot for Cedric, so obviously they remember that match too. Whether or not it was on the Titantron or whether or not they just remember that the boy, I don't know. Mad props by the New Orleans crowd respecting the NXT town and 205 Live. Lafayette, you seriously disappointed me. Then again, I've never been to your city, so I don't even know if you're a WWE town. According to Monday Night, you sure as hell don't look like it to me. Yes, I just went heel. I just belittled the town. Sue me. Anyway.
Well, I wonder if they did any trivia at Lafayette, like any nickname trivia like they did at your town. So, because I don't think they did very well. Maybe they, but what was I gonna say? They probably reacted too because they've seen Cedric compete like on Raw and stuff too, so they probably are familiar with him. Mike Kanellis, they're probably a little bit familiar with, but probably more so Cedric, because Mike Kanellis went off the radar for a while. So,
right, and in my opinion, I think he's still trying to figure out himself. But this match, I think, once again, in essence, to what Drake Maverick says, another incredible showing. So, crowd was hot for Cedric. Cedric maintained control for most of this match in the beginning. Vicious chops, back and forth, constantly. And then a kick to the back of the head into our first near fall by Cedric. Then Mike, he gets his first real shot in with a vicious right hand, dropping Cedric from the top rope. As Cedric tries to go for a springboard attempt, I feel like. Maria, of course, applauding. By the way, Maria not on commentary this week, because I guess the commentary thinks that Aiden disrespected her last week, asking the hard-hitting questions. Aiden English, I think, is doing a very good job on commentary. He really puts over the wrestlers, and he really puts over how each person contributes to 205 Live, what they also need to do to really prove themselves in the 205 Live division. I think he and Nigel have great chemistry. I just wish Vic would stop saying takedown so damn much.
Yeah. I also liked this match. Aiden English even brought up, even though he's been shitting all over Mike Kanellis, that he actually feels for him because he's been in his position before.
And he absolutely has. Before Rusev Day, what was the last notable thing Aiden English was doing?
Yeah, nothing. I would say he's still probably in that position too, because he got squashed by Rusev and stuff. So.
Yeah, and that storyline just got cut away immediately. But yeah, SmackDown Live still better than Raw, but I digress. So going back to this match, sorry folks. Basically, Mike, he calls himself the best in the world. Anytime I hear that anymore, it just irks me. Who truly is the best in the world? Is it the new Daniel Bryan? Is it Chris Jericho? Is it CM Punk? Is it Shane McMahon? No, it's not fucking Shane McMahon. That's
yeah, it is. He won the tournament, buddy. He won the tournament. It's Shane
McMahon. Bullshit. He's not the best in the world. Don't get me started on this. I just started a new season of 205 Live called Ranting, because you're going to make me rant on blood money fucking Saudi Arabia. Anyway, going back to this. Anyway, we get elbows, a basement kick. He's showing ruthless aggression, I like to think. And then basically we get a Flair reference from the commentary as Cedric. He delivers a bunch of chops. We get a rope through cover. Mike delivers another right hand and sends Cedric into the middle turnbuckle. Both men right now, they seem exhausted at this point. Mike always seems exhausted, though, in my opinion. I don't know how well his cardio is. But, hey, he went the distance in this match. I think this match was maybe 15, 20 minutes. So, anyway, following that, we get the springboard elbow strike and then spinning back elbow strike. Not as good as Andrade Cien Almas. I feel Andrade delivers more. Andrade Cien Almas, fuck first name curse. Andrade Cien Almas delivers more with his. But it was still nice, and then we get his neuralizer, that springboard handstand kick. Then Cedric, shades of the Fatal 4-Way. Botch, I feel, or intentional, I don't know. He slips in the exact same spot off the top rope and almost looks like he botches his right knee, which, of course, Mike, he immediately capitalizes. He follows up on. I feel like this was just to put Mike over strong and make it seem more believable that he could win, or maybe some excitement on him. I'm not sure. But
I think it was intentional because, he went right after the knee right afterwards. And typically, they would just, they would have probably done the X sign, or they probably, would have stopped the match for a couple minutes. So I think this was actually intentional.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, to be fair, they haven't done the X sign since that crazy apron spot with Hideo Itami and Mustafa Ali. They made Nana McGuinness say, "Oh my Lord!"
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a good match too. But anyway, continuing on from this, he capitalizes, falls on the knee. Maria seemed a little. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. capitalizes, falls on the knee. Cedric, he gets a few near falls in there, though, gets an inside cradle. Out of nowhere, Cedric lands a super kick. But again, sell the knee, sell the leg. He couldn't capitalize, so he couldn't follow up on the cover. We get a first attempt at the lumbar check. That was countered. Then Cedric goes for another neuralizer. That was countered. And then Mike plants Cedric. I almost shades of a Falcon Arrow, maybe a mix of a Michinoku driver, not quite, into another near fall that really hyped Maria up. 1 point, Maria takes off her jacket, no idea why. We get upcut, right hand kick, and another right hand. Both men just going back and forth. And then we get what they call a backpack stunner, which I think makes the most sense, where he just packages him behind, just drops him jaw first, into another near fall. You could tell at this point, Mike, he shows visible frustration. This is usually where he cracks under the pressure. But this match went actually a lot longer than I first anticipated. Sutter then gets a roll up in there. There's a miss kick by Mike into another small package. And we get a backslide. Once again, Cedric trying to sell the leg, really trying to prove that. Following this, we get a backslide, and then after this, beautiful Michinoku driver saves up Super Showdown. Another near fall on like Buddy Murphy, but no, kick out. Match keeps going. Both men fight for control. Eventually, both men get on the apron. Both men, they eat each other's boots. The interesting thing is Cedric Alexander, he lands on the apron, while Mike, he lands on the floor. But Cedric, he goes basically after him. I don't know why he would do that, but I mean, it does make sense. He's a face. Faces don't usually want to win by count out. But I feel like this had to be planned by Mike because Mike, he basically lures Cedric into a false sense of control and security and just plants him with a spinebuster on the diamond grate. Cedric screaming in agonizing pain. I can only imagine how that felt. That got a vocal action for the audience too, with the oh.
It reminded me of the Toni Storm Rhea Ripley match when Rhea Ripley became the first NXT UK Women's Champion when she took the backdrop on the apron and she was crying like that.
Yeah, true visible emotion, true pain. Of course, both to their credit, they continued their matches. So, hey, good on them. So, following that, we get a very near count-out victory, 9 7/8. Eventually, Mike, he's just infuriated again. He goes for a submission hold, Boston Crab. But Cedric, he grinds to the point, biting his thumb, nearly tapping out, really selling it. But he makes it to the bottom rope for a rope break. Maria, he's just incensed. She's like, what does my husband have to do? Why is he not winning? But Mike, he just cannot get Cedric to tap out. So Mike, he's sent over the top rope in frustration after he goes after Cedric. Cedric sends over the top rope. Cedric, somehow, he goes over the top rope himself with his own high-flying maneuver, where Maria just seems absolutely shocked. And as Cedric rolls Mike into the ring, Maria comes into play like, no, you stay out here. You leave him alone. Maria finally coming into play. I knew she had to come and play at some point. Yeah. And in the end, she almost did because when Cedric finally bypassed her, which really, why it took this long for Cedric to bypass Maria, I have no idea. Basically, he blocks, basically he runs straight into another super kick from Mike Kanellis, into a twisting DDT, a corkscrew DDT, I guess you could call it, into what I truly thought was the end of the match. I really thought he won here, but this isn't Raw. This isn't SmackDown Live. The refs have a brain. Go freaking figure. And they actually proved it to the audience, too, on replay. Even the commentary. Heel commentary, not to begin, has put this over because you can't argue with facts. At 2 7/8, Cedric Alexander, he got his right shoulder up. I couldn't believe it. Following that, just Maria screaming, Mike beyond the point.
Well, actually, that's not... Because the ref actually counts 3, but when he sees that he realizes like a split second his shoulder's up, and he's like, no, the match continues and stuff. So
great call by John Cone. Very good officiating. And great work by the camera crew, too. Not only just capitalizing on that on replay, but really just the way they tape it. Again, WWE, they really have great video management. I will give them all the credit for that in the world. It's probably one of the only things they get right most of the time. But yeah, following this... Mike Kanellis, he tries to go and capitalize for it, and we get a cover attempt, but eventually, well, who am I kidding eventually? Literally after this, Cedric finally hits his lumbar check, which nobody, but Buddy Murphy apparently, I think, is the only person at this point, has kicked out, and slowly capitalized, crossing the cover, he still pins Mike Kanellis, 1, 2, 3. So once again, Mike Kanellis, incredible performance, cannot get the win on the losing end. Cedric Alexander with his first huge win in weeks, but definitely damage done. What an incredible bout. I don't know if I would say this is better than a no DQ match last week, but this is definitely one of Cedric's better showings, and I feel like for Mike Kanellis, this was his best match so far, even on his losing streak. Owen, what are your overall thoughts on this match?
This match was great. This really awesome back and forth match. Love the story that it told with Mike Kanellis, like trying to get his win, but just can't quite do it. The selling by Cedric Alexander in this match. Obviously the ending, well, not quite the end, but like the tease of the end, and the way he was shot and stuff, that was great. Just everything was, just this match had, I think, everything in it, and I think the right person went over. I don't know what this means for Mike Kanellis, because he still continues his losing streak. I think there is going to be the match. Maybe the match will be one of the matches in the tournament, but it really wouldn't make sense for him to go in the tournament because he hasn't won a match since then. It's very un-Drake Maverick-like to put someone in a tournament that hasn't been win. So, yeah. But this match was just great. Great way to end off, because this was the last match the live crowd saw, too, unless they did a dog match afterwards. But it was great. And like I said, right person went over. Because I don't think Cedric's had, a big win in a while. So, yeah.
I enjoy this. Again, the match, people remember the name Mike Kanellis. I'm sure I'll remember his name, but I don't know if this is what Maria entailed. I don't even know what Maria truly feels like at this point, or what her next plan is, because she looks shocked, she looks infuriated, and then she has that evil, glaring smile, and then comes to comfort her husband, who's just absolutely distraught. Who knows where these two go from here at this point? It's completely up in the air. But anyway, following this, we go straight into the back office where we finally learn half of the participants in this tournament, where Drake Maverick puts over that he had to take a lot of thought and consideration into this, but he looked at people for the recent performances and past accomplishments, and we literally get our show for next week, basically. It's going to be Kalisto versus Tony Nese and the Brian Kendrick versus Drew Gulak. Now, I find these four people very interesting because all four of these people are very well-known names from the 205 Live roster, and two of them are former champs. Two of them have yet to win the gold.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in how both these matches play out, especially the Drew Gulak one, because Jack Gallagher would be in his corner, and I feel like Roberto Carrillo, he's probably going to be watching near too. Whether or not he'll be in the corner or watch from where TV angle, who knows? Or maybe this will pause, actually, that Roberto Carrillo storyline. I'm very curious, but I'm calling it right now, despite the other four. I would like Drew Gulak to become Cruiserweight Champion before this year. I don't see him facing Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania, but I hope it does happen at some point. I'm also curious to see who the other four are going to be, whether or not they bring somebody else on the 205 Live banner, like me and Cindy talked about. Hell, maybe Roderick Strong. He participated in the first tournament, and we don't know what direction the Dispute Era is going right now at this point. But, yeah, I'm very curious to see these matches next week. So, Owen, what are your thoughts on the two matches, the participants so far, and who else do you think could go into this tournament?
Well, I like the participants that they announced. They make sense. Tony Nese just had that big win against Noam Dar in the No DQ match. Drew Gulak has been very impressive lately. And he's one of the originals of 205 Live. The Brian Kendrick, recently just changed up his look, and he's also been very impressive lately. Former Cruiserweight champion. And Kalisto, former Cruiserweight champion, and 205 Live probably thinking if he wins, he'll be taking the title to Raw, which, might maybe think he's probably never win the Cruiserweight title, because I think the main roster wants that title far away from Raw, so.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, shoot, unless you're freaking Lucha House Party, Cruiserweight division don't matter. 205 Live matters, folks, it's about that, but Raw doesn't give a shit.
As for what else will think be in the tournament, probably because of his win last night, well, 2 nights ago, because it's past midnight now. Yeah. Cedric Alexander will win. Well, not win, but be in the tournament since, he won the last year's tournament and he just beat Mike Kanellis on this show.
Right.
Leo Rush, since he was undefeated before in 205 Live. And probably Roberto Carrillo. I would like to see, an NXT superstar be in it. Maybe Roderick Strong. That's about the only one I can think of. I would like to see some NXT UK representation, but the problem is one of the people can't be in the tournament, so I would sacrifice Humberto Carrillo and put Tyler Bates in there instead.
Oh, wow. Oh, it sounds like you're calling for like a Mustache Mountain breakup or literally a Clash of the Worlds. Tyler
Well,
Bate, Cruiserweight Champion? That would be incredible.
well, I'm not saying that he would be cruiserweight champion because when they did the tournament last year, they called up like Roderick Strong and Tyler Bate just for like a one-off appearance just to be in these tournaments.
Right.
So I
And
don't think
205 Live was also in a rebuilding stage. Remember, this was the first, that tournament last year was literally the reincarnation of 205 Live ran by Triple H. Shown off more as a real wrestling product with legitimate competitors and built stories versus some cartoony bullshit by Vince McMahon and a champ that no one ever wants to mention again.
yeah. Well, if they just want to stick to just the 205 Live roster though, you could just throw in Alberto Carrillo, and TJP. Since TJP was the first ever cruiserweight champion, under this brand of it. So, uh,
Right.
I think those would be like the four.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Ari Daivari would be too soon to put in this. I can't imagine both Jack Gallagher and Drew Gulak being in this tournament. I don't see another member of the Lucha House Party being in this tournament. Leo Rush, who knows what's going on with him, but you're right. Besides the loss of Cedric, he has had a very good record and performance on 205 Live. And again, I mean, if they're not going to bring in somebody from the NXT UK brand like you referenced, I think Tyler Bate would be an incredible star. Heck, Mark Andrews even been on 205 Live. He's faced
yeah.
champ before. And they're not going to like bring in like Roderick Strong or maybe hell Raul Mendoza or some other surprise from NXT. Then yeah, I could totally see Leo Rush, Alberto Carrillo, maybe Ardavari, and Sarah Alexander filling in the other four. Because right now, between these four in the tournament, you basically got two heels and two faces. You're balanced. And I don't see them putting Akira Tozawa in here again because Akira Tozawa just had his he had two attempts at the title. I don't
Yeah.
really know what you could do with Akira Tozawa from here. So, yeah. And I'm just curious to see who are going to be the other four, and also who's going to win both these matches. So with that, let's go ahead and predict both these matches. Who do you see winning both these matches next week?
Um, Tony Nese for Kalisto. And this one's tough. The Kendrick Gulak one because they've both been on a roll. I'll say Gulak because I want Gulak to win. So I
205 Live.
yeah, we need a better 205 Live. So we need Gulak to be champ for that to happen.
Well, I think Drew Gulak, I believe he was in like the semifinals, if not the finals of the last tournament, because I know he faced Mustafa Ali, and Mustafa Ali had to go through him to get Sarah Alexander. Drew
Yeah.
Gulak is a very viable contender, I feel, to go along in this tournament. Whether or not he wins the whole thing, because again, your champ right now is a really, really overconfident heel. It's hard to say. I have to say right now, I feel like I agree with you. Tony Nese definitely has to get past Kalisto at this point. And Drew Gulak, he will be a viable contender to go for, especially if Cedric Alexander is one of the other four. Because I can see this coming down to Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak. Again, as much as people may not want to see Cedric Alexander again at WrestleMania, Cedric Alexander is one of your most viable contenders for the title. He gave Buddy Murphy his best match ever, probably. And that was only 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think you did actually, yeah.
Yeah. It was probably the most legitimate, memorable thing from Super Showdown too, because no one else remembers anything from that show except me, because I also support the Iconics, future women's tag team champs, in my opinion. I enjoyed that match too. But anyway, so yeah, and I feel like those two matches alone will probably take up the whole show next week, because I don't see them doing anything else furthering Humberto Carrillo at this point. I don't see them doing anything else with Akira Tozawa. Maybe we get a promo from Leo Rush. I'm sure we're going to learn about the other four next week as well. Ari Daivari, he might do some sort of promo. But beyond that, I don't really see anything else happening next week on 205 Live. And I definitely don't see TJP showing up next week on 205 Live. I think he's literally just the Dolph Ziggler at this point, and he's going to be, fan obscurity.
I think the next few weeks will just be the focus on the tournament.
Without doubt.
I think the finals will take place at maybe Fastlane, just because I think there's because Fastlane's the 10th, so they're gonna want to do these two matches next week. Then there'll be another two, and like they'll do the quarterfinals.
Right.
I mean, so I think the finals will take place at Fastlane. Not on the kickoff though. Don't do that. Don't
Thank
do
you.
that.
Especially because I will be pissed off like a motherfucker. Yeah, I said, excuse me, motherfucker, because I'll be there live. If I see the freaking cruiserweights on the kickoff again, I'm gonna be pissed. Tony, quit speaking for WWE. Best for business, my ass. You guys belong on the main card. You certainly are better than fucking corporate Baron Corbin and the recreated Authority 4.0. What the fuck, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley? Damn.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah,
I thought, but yeah. So anyway, I thought this was another great show. Let's go ahead and grade the whole show overall. On a scale of 1 to 5, what would you grade this week's episode of 205 Live?
I'll go a 4. Really no issues with it. Like nothing was wrong with it. Everything flowed well. There's typically like never anything bad on 205 Live, so that's really tough to. I think the last thing that happened bad on 205 Live was when it was in its own reincarnation. So
Don't remind me. Yeah. Okay, that's a fair grade. Yeah, looking at both these matches, Mike Kanellis, he still shows aggression. So did Alexander. Mike Kanellis tore the house down. I like the opener. I like how it's building this storyline between this possible trifecta of Drew Gulak, Jack Gallagher, and Humberto Carrillo. So yeah, let's see. Last week I gave it 4.5, but also I was a bit biased because I saw it live. Yeah, I think this week I'm gonna go for maybe 4.25 because I feel like something has to give for Mike Kanellis. I could see him somehow inserting himself into this tournament. Maybe not as a participant, but maybe even costing Cedric Alexander at this point, who's probably your most favorite to win this as well. Because I have no idea where Mike goes from here. But he needs to do something. So, yeah. All right. Well, this was another great great discussion. First off, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me this week on 205 Live. A special thank you to my guest this week, the Talkinator, Owen Finch. Owen, where can people find you?
they can find me on 3 YouTube channels. The CM Brothers, which is the first one. That's just what my spam YouTube account and stuff like that. But I do post some videos on there here and there. Me and my cousin are finally gonna get that Red versus Blue Volume 1 up. Hopefully
Nice.
either this week or next week. We're finally gonna do that. So be on the lookout for it. I know we've been saying it for like a month, but we always say we are and then we just never do. And also check out Owen the Talkinator. At some point this week, because I missed Walking Dead this week because of Elimination Chamber, we're going to find out if it was worth it or not. So I'll have my review of Season 9, Episode 10. Yeah, and no, not, Ty Dillinger 10, actually Episode 10. He's gone, never coming back, so. And then obviously Wrestling Fortune 44, where me and Noah do the Wrestling Rundown, which that episode will be up Saturday or Sunday. We don't know yet. It'll be recorded Saturday, but we don't know if it'll be up Sunday or not. And obviously we'll be doing the not me and Noah, but me and James Archangel will be doing the Retro Wrestling Review Series. This week it was my pick, and since Fighting With My Family, the actual movie comes out, we're going to be reviewing the Fighting With My Family documentary that came out like in 2012, so that will be fun.
Nice.
And then I can't think of anything. Oh, and also if you ever want to be on like a future wrestling rundown, you can find me via Instagram. My Instagram account name is, believe it or not, Finch Owens. Very generic, but that's just the name they gave me, and I ain't changing it because it's been that way for a while. And I guess you can hit me up on Facebook too, because it's called Owen Finch. What you should do though is if you friend me, just message me so I know you're not like a spam account. But I have
trolling robots.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not going to happen though. So I'm just going to have to. And by the way, Noah, when am I going to get that championship behind you? Because that's my belt right there. That's when are you going to give me that belt? I
don't know. I paid a lot of money for that, so I mean, I got to pick up postage and.
You're holding out on me, Noah.
Yes, I know.
Until I get that belt, this right here will be the official NXT No DQ championship that I'll hold until I get that till I get that belt.
And at least my belt looks better than Matt Taven's purple Ring of Honor belt. That thing's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
I'm
All
gonna say
right.
Oh, also, congratulations to Stephen Osborne for representing the NXT No DQ team. By winning the Elimination Chamber predictions. So if only he could have won the Takeover one, that would have been better. But
Yeah, it'd be dual champion. But hey, we got you for that because, folks, No DQ NXT team, we're a league of our own. Simple as that. All right. Well, and folks, if you want to find me, you can look me up, nodq.com/Noah. It takes you to my Twitter page. Look up my YouTube channel if you want, where you will find this series, 205 Live Matters, pay-per-view predictions, WWE and Beyond, and monthly WrestleCrate unboxings. I'll be unboxing this guy right here, my February crate. You can look up my channel at youtube.com/users/Noah Foster 210. And folks, above all else, just keep supporting NoDQ.com, okay? Go buy a shirt, NoDQ.com/shirts. Check out our playlist. Just look up hashtag Team NoDQ. There are 5,000 songs on there. Everything from Hootie and the Blowfish to Blue Oyster Cult to George Michael, etc. And go check out, like I said, NoDQ.com. There's an opinion section for everything because, folks, not only does 205 Live matters, but you, No DQ Galaxy and beyond, your opinions matter too, because we all are No DQ. And as always, folks, support your wrestling outlets, both big and small, and let's keep growing this wrestling community together. Simple as that. So with that, thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this extended episode of 205 Live Matters. We'll be back next week with a new episode discussing the outcome so far of the first matches of the 8-man single elimination cruiserweight tournament. Owen, thank you again, sir, for being my guest.
you know what? You're going to inspire me. I'm going to try to get a Main Event Matters show going.
Hey, why not? More wrestling better, right? Also, folks, stay tuned as I'm trying some other stuff, too. There might be some independent content coming in ODQ. I'm going to be doing my first ever indie review. I'm going to call it Indie View with independent promoter here in my hometown, Toledo, Ohio. I'm Gary. Look out for that on my YouTube channel. And with that, thank you again to everybody. And I'm just a simple man and a lifelong fan of wrestling. So until next week, everybody, have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.